So I'm back on making parts for the rocket ride, and we have a whole lot more steering wheels we need to make, but once the steering wheels are made, we need to make these brackets that actually mount the steering wheel, and it's just a little aluminum bracket with a shoulder bolt screwed in, and a pretty simple part. Just not something you can buy anymore. This time around, I am going to create a 3D model of this. We're going to 3D print it, and I want to do that so that I can oversize it to account for the shrinkage that occurs when you cast aluminum, so that hopefully our final product will be the same size as the original. I want to try to actually cast these two at a time, so I'm going to draw two individual pieces that are on a common runner to see if we can't print these. So we're going to put it in the slicer. I'm going to divide the slice job that I send to the 3D printer into two separate jobs because I want to change the height per layer as we get closer to the top. If you don't, it's going to get real ugly looking at the top. So I'm going to go up to the boss where the screw is going to go in, and then above that I'm going to change my slicer from 0.2 millimeters per layer to 0.05 millimeters per layer, and that should give me a much nicer top. So we've got our finished pieces, and now that I see them in my hand, I have some fears that my crucible that I'm using to melt the aluminum is not going to hold enough aluminum to melt this. I'm happy with how the top came out here. You can perhaps see that this finish up here is very nice. You can see the difference, but I don't think this is going to work. So we're going to go back and just do a single model, just a half. There's also some other things about this model that I don't like. I don't think there's enough draft in it. So we're going to be fixing a few other things along the way. There we go. This one looks pretty good. Now I just need to do a lot of sanding and priming and painting to remove all the layer lines and make a smooth finished product that will be easy to mold. All right, so I think we've got a usable pattern. The paint dried overnight and it's looking really good here. I'm quite happy with that. So the next step is to ram this up in some sand and make a mold. I've got the furnace heating up out in the other room so we can melt some aluminum. And one thing I wanted to mention though, in a previous video where I was casting metal, somebody had made the suggestion that I might be having a problem because it looked like I was using baby powder as a parting medium, sprinkling it on there. And the problem being that baby powder is no longer made with talc. It's now made with cornstarch, I believe. And that's all a very good comment. My response to that is that I've been sand casting aluminum for a very long time. And that's not to say that I'm an expert about it or that I know everything about it. I know very little about it, actually. But what I am saying is I've owned this bottle of baby powder for a very long time, and so much so that it does have talc in it. Matter of fact, I own two. So that also goes to show you that I don't really do that much sand casting, that I still have these laying around. But they're both still fine. They're both talc, so we'll be sprinkling that on liberally. can see that have no problem separating. Wow. Bit bigger. I'm gonna try it. Worst case scenario, we just have to melt down the aluminum and try it again. So I just went in to grab a bite to eat for lunch. While I was there, I mentioned to my wife what I was doing out here. And she said to me, "Did you remember to vent it?" And I was like, "No, I forgot to vent it." So, I guess that means she actually pays attention to my videos. We'll get this apart and do just a little venting. Alright, vents are in place. Alright, I think our aluminum is just about hot enough. Take this outside and get it set up. Let's see what we got here. Well, that might be just fine, actually. That's fine. Our vents worked. It almost looks to me like I might have had enough aluminum to do 2 of these in one mold. Not 100% sure. It would have taken all of it for sure. There wouldn't have been any left to spare. Alright, I'm going to get the bandsaw out, get that cut off. exactly what we did last time, only better. Pretty well last time. One right there. And one right in there. Let's clamp it up. Oh yeah, that looks nicer than the last one. You can see our venting worked. Metal rose up it. Pretty nice. That's a really nice finish on this one. I got the sand packed a lot tighter, and it gave me a much nicer surface finish. Again, you can see the dimples for where we need to drill. Compare that to the original. Nothing wrong with that part. I think it's a little bit bigger than the original. This is our first one. Surface finish is not quite as nice on this one. Still usable though. It'll clean up. A little sanding, a little filing. Be perfect. Curious to see, size-wise, how these line up. You know, I was trying to account for that, the shrinkage. I was in a pool! So in reality, this one could be brought down to this size perfectly. If you want to follow along with all of our projects, click that link to the left and come along for the ride. That on the sander. Little filing. It's going to be perfect.